Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 17 and some change. I'm AccuDes17, here to bring you my 2 cents. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Um, Glad you guys could make it. I hope traffic wasn't too bad. Ha 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 ha. Um, but yeah, a shitty thing happened last week where I thought this show was uploaded on a Wednesday, but it didn't upload till Thursday. Um, so that was pretty unfortunate. I guess if you have a video that is uploading, the app needs to remain open for it to finish uploading. Um, and not only does the app need to remain open, but like if like your screensaver can't kick in. So I guess my screensaver kicked in and stopped the video from uploading until I got to it the next day. So that was pretty unfortunate. Only because like I like the idea of having these episodes on Wednesdays on hump days. I think that's pretty cool. And I want to continue in that direction as far as that goes. Um, so like I don't have um yeah, I didn't drop till Thursday. I don't have like a actual like main topic for this episode. I have various subtopics that we're gonna kind of touch on. Um, it's scorching in a lot of in parts of Massachusetts right now. We're getting a heat wave, and it's like the third day in a row of upward 90, high 90s. Um, and that's not fun. That's pretty it's melting. It's scorching. It is scorching. Um, Makes me kind of realize like it just reminds you of how um yeah, how fragile humans really are. Like, um, being in a part of the world where it fluctuates between cold as shit and hot as shit, um, it reminds you that you're only uh, a few degrees away from disaster, right? Like, we're sweltering in the hovering near 100, we're sweltering, and then near zero, we're frozen. Um, we only have like less than 200 degrees to play with as far as being able to live. And when you consider like the vast, the variance in potential degrees that exist, like so absolute zero would be like negative 460 Fahrenheit. And then there's no like technical upper limit for Fahrenheit, how hot something can be. I mean, there's a theoretical upper limit, but that has like 32 zeros in it. Um, our hydrogen collider reaches like 7.2 trillion degrees Fahrenheit. Um, I dropped some shit. Yeah, so the area in which you could fall into is so vast that we're very fortunate to to get temperatures that are are livable in, right? And that goes back to the fine tuning argument, where things are just set up so ridiculously perfect for life. It's ridiculous. It's like down to the most minute freaking detail. Like the 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 margin for error is like threading a needle. Um, is not much at all, right? I've heard people push back on that. I'm not really gonna get too deep into the this topic, like intelligent design or whatever, but like I've heard people push back on that, talking about like, oh, if you're using um if you're using that argument to justify intelligent design, if you're using the perfect tuning argument to justify intelligent design, and they were like, well, then what's so perfect in the tuning that allows, trains to hit people, and cancers to form, and tragedies to strike, and death and suffer and cry and misery and shit and boom. So like, where's the perfectness in that? And I always thought like two arguments, and one is more powerful, a lot more powerful than the other. I think one of the arguments is just novel and interesting in that way, but the other one is better. So I'm going to start it off with the shittier argument, which is so you are familiar with simulations and um, video games and computer software systems, and I don't know if any of them have ever been created without a glitch. And so you could say maybe these are, maybe these are glitches in the matrix, or in the, you know so then it goes from, well, not perfect design. And I don't like that argument. I like the novelty of it, but I don't like it because it diminishes the idea of it nullifies the idea of perfection, right? You're supposed to, we're speaking on a perfect God theoretically, um, or we're illustrating our belief of intelligent design based off of what appears to be perfection in living conditions. Um, and so to say, well, they're glitches, I don't know, kind of diminishes that stance. The argument that I like better is the one of duality. Um, and the fact that obviously, if nobody ever died, then birth would not be, nobody would care. Like, oh, you had a kid, great. Nobody ever fucking dies. Like, we are so happy you had a kid. You know what I mean? Like, And then like, so without pain there is no joy type shit. And so could you have created something better, keeping a dichotomy in mind? You think creating a utopia is what God should have done? So like, you, I mean, is that smarter than the than the duality? I don't think utopias necessarily work. I mean, they're they're boring. There's no meaning. There's nothing. It's just everybody's floating around on opium. Like there's no happiness without meaning. And like that's something that the design has built into it as well. And so yeah, um I definitely look at the duality as further evidence of intelligent design. So yeah. Um um so I guess a lot happened with Iran. A lot happened with Iran since we last spoke. This is kind of like a big topic on the news and stuff like that. Um, so like, I mean, some of these notes that I took on this situation seem so irrelevant now because this was like 2, 3 days ago, and so it's been a rapidly updating situation, and I think I mean from the top, um, you know, there were some Republicans that were upset that we decided to um, blow up the nuclear sites and whatnot. These are the people who are anti-war. These are the people that didn't want to get, a lot of them, they didn't want to get bogged down. Um, they elected, Trump to minimize wars and stuff like that. But this was never a war between the U.S. and Iran. I think it was a prevention measure that ended up, from what we hear, from what they tell us, it ended up working. Um, I know Trump has been consistent from even before he was a president that Iran should not have nuclear weapons. We tried to make deals with them, with just about every president, and like I think we had given them like 60 days just most recently to like do something, and um, they can't have them. They just can't have them, and then you could be like, well, why is it okay to for the U.S. to have them and not them, and not Iran to have them? And you will be like, well, Iran is a run by terrorists, and then some people will say, well, the U.S. is terrorist, and the U.S. terrorizes and starts wars and gets in their nose into places that they shouldn't be, and they're the biggest threats, and the U.S. is evil and things like that. And it's like, I mean, I I was born and raised in the United States, and my survival for the past 30 some odd years has been predicated on citizenship of a free, powerful nation. Um, and so, like, I am Team America because I am an American. I don't see myself ever leaving this nation. So I was born here. I'm probably going to die here unless something drastic happens. And so, like, I'm Team America. Like, what the fudge? Like, I literally live here and I'm not leaving. And so, yeah, like, that's gonna be my squad. So, if that's the case, then, but like, I mean, just, I don't know. I'm not really into the ideology of Iran. I'm assuming it's some form of like Islamic regime, right? And judging by um the it's anyways. Um, they they said they were almost there. The West has said that they were almost there many times in regards to like having the capacity to have one of these things. Um, I don't know why, like, even like, I don't even know why, like, the left, like, I've heard people say, like, Islam is like a beautiful religion. And it's like, I don't have an opinion on that, but I don't know how the left can think anything along those lines. Like, it's just like the left doesn't like Christianity. Generally speaking, overall, like the left doesn't like Christians, but Islam does not treat women or homosexuals any better. Like in in scripture, in tradition, both of these religions have modern day moderate sects, sects, who don't have hatred towards these groups or oppressiveness towards these groups. But the tradition of both of them is that. So I just don't know how the left continues to get behind Islamic regimes and and it's just like they just they're America is that bad to them, to the left. Like America is so evil for them to the left that they just get cognitive dissonance and cheer for our enemies and things like that. Like um fail to recognize the hypocrisy of supporting uh radical Islamic regimes. And it's not just like this one, it's not just Iran. It's you know free Palestine from the river to the sea. um it's interesting on that. Like, the left almost makes it seem like they like Hamas, right? But it's interesting. Like, I guess I know now why Candace Owens got released from the Daily Wire. I um I was listening to her the other day and she was bashing Israel. And I think that is, like, thinking back, I think that is what happened. Like, Shapiro had deemed her to say something like anti-Semitic because she wasn't supporting something, or the opposite. But according to Candace Owens, like, Israel is not, the good guys either, which circles all the way back to, how I entered this conversation. Like, oh, how can we have nuclear bombs, but they can't have nuclear bombs, right? She thinks bad, and I'm not too sure. I'm not too, I'd have to, outside of the Zionist conspiracies, outs, outside of the sub train of thought that, like, the world is secretly run by, wealthy um Jewish people. um I'm not really. And the recent bombings of Palestine, there is a lens where those are atrocities. Yeah, I don't think they should have really bombed them. Like, you're getting revenge on October 7th, and like you say, like, oh well, the Palestinians, they'll put their bases, like, they'll use civilians as shields, is basically the argument from Israel. And then Israel says, so to protect ourselves, we have to destroy the shields along with them. And I just don't think that's thought out enough. I think that sounds like so eager to kill, that you don't care if citizens get in the way. But they'll say there's no other way. Like, if we go in there by foot, like, it's not gonna work. Um, but, you got drones. I don't know how well they call for evacuations and things like that before they do a lot of their strikes and stuff like that. But it's just ugly. Like, I mean, I think we should all be glad that there is a ceasefire on the books between Israel and Iran. I mean, I think that's something that we should all be happy for, and hope that it continues um, in that direction. ceasefires are good, you know. Ceasefires are very good. Um, Permanent ceasefires are even better. You know, peace treaties are even better. So we should see some stuff like that. Um, so another thing in other news, something else that I heard that was, it's a little. We're gonna transition here. Um, I mean, it's still uh, politic related. Um, so I watched a press conference from um, Kennedy. Yeah, from Robert Robert Kennedy Jr. and the um the new head of the health department thing and his people. I think there was Dr. Oz was there, which I still think is a funny name. But basically, what they were saying is that they have um, been working with insurance companies to figure out ways to streamline the prior auth process. So a lot of times before you could get medications or before you could get um, different treatments, um, you need a prior authorization from the insurance company that says that they would pay for that. And it's not a lot of times, it's every time, and it's like for everything. And um it's a super inconvenience to everybody involved. It's sometimes arbitrary. It's one of the biggest pains in the asses for everybody, providers, patients. It's this bureaucratic insurance companies, man. Insurances, they're so ew. But no, I digress. They're gonna try to streamline that process. They're gonna try to uh, have it set up where you know you don't have one insurance office that does it via fax, one of them that does it via phone call, one of them that does it via website. Everything's going to be done the same way. It's going to be nearly instantaneous. They're going to use modern technology to help speed everything up. And that's what we need. We need more stuff like this, man. This place, like, I get it. Life is complicated. Things are complicated. Processes are complicated, but we seem to have overcomplicated them in effort to cover our six, like, in every single way possible. And like, we've turned everything into a bureaucratic mess, and this needs to stop. And also with the Maha people, with the Canadian crew, like, yeah, like I don't know how this isn't it's because the left, man, like, they don't. How are you guys not celebrating the idea of getting all these toxic chemicals out of our foods? Like, it started as a conspiracy. Um, when I was a younger teenager, it was nobody really talked about, like, oh, our food being poisoned. That was such a niche topic. Like, nobody even gave it much thought. And if you talked about it, you were kind of a conspiracy theorist type at the time. And then information has just been more and more abundantly clear that we're eating shit, we're eating toxic chemicals, we're eating fucking cancer agents, and we're saturated. Our entire society, our whole nation is saturated in it. And so now somebody comes along, points it out, and is attempting to up it on its head, and there's no parade, there's no giant celebration in the streets, because and that's ridiculous to me. That's, you know, get all these phosphates out of our food, get all this crap out of our food, and most of the shit that we put in our food, Europe doesn't even touch, doesn't allow. And look at their humans. They look way more human than our humans. So come on, man. Um, um, Will Smith dropped a song called "Pretty Girls," and while I agree with his sentiment overall, I mean, he goes, I like pretty women, and Will Smith is certainly a character. That's for sure. Um, there's a choice-based game that I was recently introduced to. It was Beyond Two Souls. This this chick has like a entity that like lives within her, and but also it's like uses her body as like a host, but can also leave her body for short distances, but can't is always tethered to her, so it can't like go too far and be free. And so they kind of like hate each other. Um, they have like this nice little toxic relationship with each other. Like, yeah, you're my body host, and the spirit is like, yeah, you're my body host, and I need you to survive, but I'm fucking trapped in here. And then the girl is like, um, yeah, I wish you could leave, but you saved my ass a lot. So, but they did. It's one of, I think I said, it's one of those choice based games. I think it's okay. I thought it was okay. I still haven't finished it. I They allow you to play in two ways: the original way and remix way, which is uh, the story progresses from A to Z. The original way has the story jumping all over the place, and so I started off with that one, and I didn't like it. I couldn't. I'm okay with a story jumping back and forth in time like once or twice when it's clear um, what's going on. But to have every single scene be a different piece of the story, and you're trying to like piece everything together, you don't know what choices, like it was way too unlinear. So then I tried the linear option, and that one seemed better, but um it has so much potential. It had so much potential. It still got four and a half stars. But like it had so much potential. The gameplay was great. The premise was awesome. The characters were dope. They did a good job of putting in surprises and stuff like that. Um, it was great, but then you realize that there's not too many decisions that actually matter. And that's what I dislike about these types of games. Um, you see it the best one that I've saw was Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human had the most consequential decisions. It had the furthest branching trees. There was like a lot of different things that could happen in Detroit. But still, I'm looking for something that has 10 times the amount of possibilities as Detroit. And that's what you want in these types of games. When you look at, different telltales and stuff like that, and you realize like every scene is going to pretty much be the same, no matter, like, the story's gonna play out the same way, essentially, no matter what. And you realize like how minuscule your decisions are. It does take away the fun big time. We need, especially, and I get it. I have tried to create like branching stories, and it becomes super effing difficult, like, quick. Like, the it becomes exponentially difficult. So by the time you're a few branches in, it's all you're already lost in a spider web. And so I get how difficult it can be, but nowadays you have, um, I mean, you've always had, you know, developers making triple figures. Like, you're employing the smartest, most capable, most expensive team of experts in the fields. But nowadays, now you have AI. You know, now you have AI to help you, and so there should be little to no reason that you can't create decision based games that have um, branches all over the place, like talking like hundreds of branches. You know, get to a point where like animations can start happening. Like I think that's if they can integrate the AI that way, you get to a point where animations can start happening in cutscene fashion without a pre-design. You get custom cutscenes based on you know whatever's happening in the game and stuff like that. Um, yeah, I think that's actually a decent place to wrap it off. I was going to try to like speak on. I was going to talk about as much as I could the three of the um, leader original thought leaders in regards to personality study was concerned. But I'm not. I was just doing that for school. I just read a little bit about them for school, and I think I was getting kind of overzealous, thinking that I knew enough about these individuals to speak on them in any coherent way on a podcast. One of the guys, Cabbage or something like that, he had um, he had 16 dimensions that he assessed personality through. Um, I don't even have these guys written down. Um, there was another guy, Mike All. There was another guy, All Pot, All Stop, All Pot, and he had like he was the precursor to the Big Five personality model, um, and he kind of looked at the spectrum, introvert introversion versus extroversion. He only had like three dimensions that he measured people on, but I kind of like that approach just because. of the realization of like how often duality pops up in philosophy, I'm like, yeah, it must carry over to psychology as well, and personality and everything. And then there was this guy. Um, I know I said I'm not gonna get in it, but I'm kind of doing it for my own sake as well. Um, there was this guy Erickson or Isaac, um, and his thing was more cool. From preliminarily looking at it, I thought his thing was more cool. He had he had the idea that there was a constant, like there were core, like characteristics, ideas, and beliefs, and then there was secondary ones that are a little bit more flexible, and then there were tertiary ones that were way more flexible, and then depending on context, um, these things will play out differently, and I kind of like that one as a borderline. Like that sounds about right. That leaves windows down, windows open, and all that good stuff. But yeah, so I think um I think that's all the words that I'm gonna muster out of my brain for right now. Um I'm gonna try not to melt. I have to run some errands, but I'll try not to melt, and I hope you guys try to stay cool too. Cold rags. You can. They say freeze rags, but like just like cold water on a rag works really well. You don't need to. Frozen's too much. If you take a frozen rag and you try to put it on your forehead or behind your neck, that's just way too cold. Just like a wet rag is good enough. Wet rags are good. Bowls of ice in front of the fan. Um, you know, cover your windows, stay indoors, stay hydrated. Um, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next week.